Hello, welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm working on a hop that I host over on my Facebook community group. If you are interested in my group, that link is down below for you to grab. This is Mix It Up Media. This is where we take a sketch that is created by, usually I try to grab somebody from my group who creates sketches. We've got a few of them who create sketches, so this month, I actually got a sketch from Brandy, and I'm going to pop this up here in the corner for you to see. What we do with the sketch is we mix it up by adding mixed media. This could be as simple as stamping and splatters, or you could go all out with texture paste and watercolor. I've done all of the above. This month I'm actually going for the more simple look, and I'm just going to be doing some stamps and splattering. And I have all of that product sitting here on the table in front of me. This is my April Hip Kit Club kit. Just got this in the mail within the last 24 hours, and I have opened it up to use some of the product. I pulled 2 or 3 pieces of paper and then some of the embellishments, and I don't use as much as I thought I was going to use, but that's okay. That's what this is all about. I just kind of give myself some choices to play with, and I have a piece of white cardstock also kind of tucked underneath all of that jumble of ink, brushes, and stamps that you see there. So I'm going to pause, I'm going to get started, and I will be right back with the mixed media. So I also forgot to mention that this layout is for the 52 favorite everyday photos hop that is held every Monday. These photos are just some everyday photos I took from when the kids were cleaning the yard, so I feel like they both go well with this hop. So what I am doing is I am taking this Hip Kit florally background stamp, and I am stamping it with a little bit of space between each stamping with pastel colored rainbow. So there's no red, no deep orange. It's more of a pink, a peach, a yellowy color, a mint green, a light blue, and a light purple. And so it takes a little bit of time to do this part because I am cleaning my stamp off between each stamping because I don't want these colors mixed up. So this does take a few minutes, and I'm sorry if you're watching this and you're thinking, I know how to do this. I really wish she wasn't showing this, but hopefully there are some people who don't know how to do this and just want to see the process. It's not a hard process, but it's just one that I decided I would show since my mixed media is very simple for the month of May. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times on a couple of my videos, but my husband has been deployed and he is coming in for leave for 10 days, middle of the month, and so I want to have all of my videos for hops that I host up on my channel already finished, and so I'm doing this extremely early, and I didn't want to do a lot of mixed media that needed time to dry other than the splatters and the ink for the stamping. So as you can see, I have a little bit of space left on there for the pink, and so I'm going to put some of the pink back on here. I am going to use a scrap of white cardstock to kind of mask it off a little bit. It's not perfect, but it works, and I want to make sure that I don't have it all the way to the edge, but I want that space covered. And I also want room for the next stamping. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a different stamp here, and it's from one of the other stamp sets. It's kind of like a grungy little droplet stamp, and I'm going to stamp it in between each color so that we have full coverage across this white cardstock. I know that this isn't perfect, but mixed media never is, and I'm good with that. So I'm just kind of going through and stamping each. And of course, again, I am cleaning my stamp off between each stamping because I don't want my colors to get mixed up. I really don't want to create mud today, and that's what would happen if I used all of those colors and then didn't clean in between each. And here's a little secret about me anyway. I tend to clean my stamps every time I use them, same with my stencils. The only time I don't clean a stamp is I have a couple of journaling stamps that I keep in my space handy, and those I typically only stamp with black ink, so I never wash them. And in fact, I think recently I stamped it in a gray ink and there was no bleed through, but of course it had been a while since I'd stamped. So next step is I'm going to do some splattering, and I don't have the exact colors, and so I'm just going to be very careful trying to get just the splatters with the similar color above the stamped images. That was a color in Bloom spray from Prima. They're really old. This is also a color in Bloom spray from Prima. It was the one that I had the closest to that mint and that blue. I think I do go in and use another color for the blue. Let's see what I come up with. I am searching. I did not pull these beforehand. This is a Heidi Swap pink one, and it's a little bit darker than my ink, but it works still. I really like the way that this looks. In fact, I'm quite thrilled with this background and a little annoyed that I ended up covering up so much of it when I got to putting my photos down, but you can still see the stamping and the splatters even where the photos aren't. This particular ink is a Mr. Huey's ink. These were my favorite when they came out because they weren't sparkly with mica powder in it, which means that they sprayed forever. I don't think they spray now. I think the nozzles are all clogged, but they are super old and I'm getting down to the bottom of them. So I'm setting that aside and I'm gonna let that dry, and now I am gonna go ahead and cut some photo mats for my photos here. I have 2 photos, and at first I was like, oh, I'm gonna put them on the same photo mat because they're the same orientation, and they're not. So do you see what I'm doing? That's what I was going to do, and it's not gonna work. So I go ahead and I trim off, and I'm just going to put the other one on the other white cardstock. I'll create a 3.5 by 4.5 inch photo mat with that scrap of white cardstock, and then I'm gonna put them on that purpley colored pattern paper from my April hip kit, and I am gonna just make a large photo mat that will hold both of them easily. So that means that I cut it roughly 4.5 inches so that I had room for both photos, and I'm gonna trim it down after I get this second photo on here. I'm leaving a little space between the 2 photos so that you can see that purple color poking out, and then I have a little bit of a space for my title. And I pulled this second piece of pattern paper from my April hip kit, and I'm gonna cut a 1/4 inch strip and a 1/2 inch strip. No, it's 3/4 and a 1/4. So I end up cutting a full inch off, but I'm gonna use the 3/4 of an inch by 12 inch on the bottom because it's larger, and that'll draw your eyes down to the bottom. It creates a weighted balance. And then I'm going to put the smaller piece up at the top just to kind of close in my design a little bit. Like I said, I'm really tickled with the way that this background went, and I will say that I should have waited and allowed it to dry overnight because I have to be very careful about touching it because some of those splatters did not dry very fast, and I waited several hours before trying to do this layout. So there is a close-up of my background. It turned out great, and I'm happy with that. And now I am gonna go ahead and start gluing things down and creating some visual interest with some embellishment clusters and my title. The title is going to be Favorite Spring Memory. That favorite came in the Hip Kit Club kit this for April. If you are not a member of Hip Kit, they do not ship their kits until towards the end of each month, so I haven't even seen what the May kit looks like just yet. I have anyway, I have a label up there for journaling, and now I'm going to use these really small foam alpha stickers because I really wanted to get a smaller title part underneath that favorite. I am putting the banner pieces underneath the photo because Brandy's sketch does have banner pieces. And then I've pulled some of these little chipboard pieces out of the chipboard pack. There was a bunch of multicolored hearts in the same colors that I used on my background, and I'm just going to use a few of those. I'm just going to spread them, you know, trying to stay color on color. The purple heart is not the same color of purple that I stamped with, but it is the same color of purple that is in the photo mat, so I'm okay with that. And I'm going to finish my title up here. I do know that that title is way too close to the right edge of my layout, and I will fix that when I stop to glue everything down. Now I'm pulling out my little miscellaneous enamel dot storage system. This is what happens to my enamel dots when I've opened up a package and know that I'm not going to be able to use them all. I made these out of cardstock and leftover plastic, and I just put them in each little plastic envelope by color. Makes it really easy to find the color that I need, and if I remember to do this all the time, I keep these within reach of where I sit in scrapbooks, so it should be easy for me to just grab them and use them, which is the whole purpose in doing it this way. I got this idea from Janet Madison from RTS Scrapbooking. She has tons of wonderful organizational tips on her YouTube channel, and so this was just one of the things that I implemented from her that really worked well for me. I'm just able to grab the colors that I need. There's some pretty cool little enamel dots in here. I've got that one that is shaped like a butterfly. There's some that are shaped like a heart, and various other ones. I'm just trimming off the edges because that one was really hard to get back into the envelope. So I just started trimming the little edges off so that it would be easier for me to get it back into the envelope. And those are just snack size Ziploc bags, and I used a hole punch to punch a hole at the top so that the little binder clip can go through it easily. And I need to trim that one off too, but I'm starting to get to where I want to just finish this off, so I set it aside. I'm gonna grab some of these blue ones here, and since I didn't already try to shove this one back in the Ziploc bag, I'm gonna go ahead and trim it and put it back in there. I think I have to do that with 3 or maybe 4 total, just so that they fit better into the Ziploc bags and they're easy to get in and out. And this is a system that is reusable. Once it's empty, I can just add more enamel dots to it and it's not a problem. So I don't have a whole lot of purple ones, and so I had to grab a new thing of purple because I didn't have very many purple, at least not the color that I wanted, the shade that I wanted for this. And so those were the Alta new ones. I'm gonna drag out this one with the pink one again because I forgot that I needed to put some more on this other pink section. And so I just get a couple more little pieces. There's a half pearl that I'm going to put in there, and then I'm going to stop and glue everything down. All right, I got this layout completely finished. I hope you can see it well. I know there's a tad bit of a glare on my space. Let's turn out that other light, see if that helps. Anyway, I got the mixed media on here with stamps and splatters. Kind of did an easy mixed media background this time, so that it wouldn't take as long to dry. I'm still having issue with some of these little splatters smearing because they're still not dry after several hours. But anyway, I've got all the embellishments on here, wrote my journaling, put my date here. I did move that title over so it wasn't hanging so close to the edge. Otherwise, everything you saw me do on camera except for the main gluing down of the chipboard bits and pieces. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe. If you're new here, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Just click that button below. I do attempt to put 3 to 4 videos out per week. For the middle of May, some of you know this, my husband is currently deployed and he will be home at some point during the month of May on leave. So I believe by the time this video goes live, he will be home and I will be spending time with him. So there may be fewer videos on my channel while he is home. I'm doing what I can to get stuff loaded, but I'm running out of time very quickly. So if you're new here and I don't get that many videos out during the month of May, I do apologize, but that is my norm, is 3 to 4 per week. Again, thank you for being here, and make sure you check out the description box below for the Instagram participants. I have an amazing group of Instagram creators, and they are different than the ones in the YouTube playlist. So make sure that you check out both links, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.